Happy Saturday morning, and where better to be on a Saturday? Actually, it's not morning. Of course, it's Saturday afternoon, but where better to be than the new Sainsbury's now with added Starbucks? We're continuing our tidying spree, but we also need to buy things for tomorrow's gathering. Food mainly.
Welcome to another episode of Toby's Stupid Vlog.
Sunday, we're doing joint birthday dinners, which we have done. Going over a bit of a walk with the smallest member of the party. He is. Oh, so. Oop. Firstly, good morning. As you saw yesterday, we had my parents round, Alex and Anna, and Walter. Excuse me, whilst I try not to drop my computer. Because it is my mum's birthday on Tuesday, and that was the nearest Sunday that we could do. And obviously, Crystal's birthday was on Thursday, so it kind of worked well. So we got everyone together. This room's very echoey. I've taken all the furniture out. So we ate in here yesterday, which is very nice, on the table that's usually in this room. This is a very old table. It's a 70s table. My grandparents got it when they moved to Gloucestershire, and it still works and it still fits. It looks a bit odd if you don't put a tablecloth on it because of its design and its overt blueness. But it's been in the family now for like 40 years nearly. And in fact, here is the earliest photo I have on it, ready for embarrassing baby photo. This is me on my first birthday, sitting on said table with my grandparents looking highly displeased. So there we go. And so our tidying of the flat kind of was completed in advance. I haven't finished putting back everything from yesterday, but then I'll give you a very quick tour of how it looks in its newly tidied form. So first off, let's start in here. This is a room you don't see very often, and this is the office. This is where all my music stuff is and where my camera lenses and whatnot are. It's a bit tidier than it was, certainly. There's some stuff that needs taken to the dump, and there's my drone, and there's a lot of RHP papers. And then the loo, yes, you know the loo. Bedroom is much the same, except you can see the floor now, which is a bit of a change. Corridor's a bit emptier, which is good. The bathroom is much, much tidier, although you never really saw it before. But I can assure you it was a complete disaster. We still need to get new bath panelling along there before we're done. Then we have the second room, which is looking pretty good. It's always reasonably tidy, but the floor's a bit more visible now. And we have the living room, which is in a very good state, and a lot of the cupboards have been gone through and the tables have been cleared, and it's generally looking a lot healthier apart from the enormous amount of Haribo. And then the kitchen, it's looking much better. There's more work surfaces for one, and we've gone through, tidied up the bookshelf, and the table is much better, and I've changed a picture. So yeah, it's looking much nicer. And obviously the balcony is a work in progress because it's still quite cold out and there's no point really doing too much just yet. It's a very beautiful day, quite cold, but ever so still. And so as soon as lunch is done, we're going to make the most of it because tomorrow's going to be foggy and misty and all sorts. So, you have to grasp these days whilst they're here. I think Saturday's going to be very nice as well, which means I might endeavour to go for a walk along the Thames Path with Steve. We're somewhere out in the sticks by now. I don't even know where we got to. Windsor? Yeah, we got to Windsor. Christ. We'll be in Oxford in no time. It is very cold out of the sun, but it is a very nice day for a walk, and haven't really done some parts of this towpath in a very long time, so I'm going to cross the bridge up there and come back on the other side, which hopefully will still be in the sun when I get there, and make the most of it. That's what it's all about. It's beautiful low winter sun And, well, I was going to say the first signs of spring, but maybe not. Just some mild low-lying greenery. Yeah, it's lovely. That is a water rat, and a very large one. I thought there was a squirrel in the bin, turns out it was a rat. How nice. So we finally ate the mushrooms yesterday. We had them as a risotto. In fact, we still have some risotto left. Homegrown mushroom risotto. Ever so satisfying. In fact, the mushrooms have now returned, so you re-soak the bag and we're going to try and grow some more. So we'll have to see how many pearl oyster mushrooms we get this time. In the meantime, I'm making some bread, and this has risen rather a lot, so I probably need to knock it back. And then I can go for a walk whilst the weather is it's just got above freezing just this moment at midday. But, you know, it's pleasant enough. So I looked back at my comments about LinkedIn last week, and yeah, I stand by them broadly. I think what I was trying to say, but was a little hesitant to say, is why would I add you? I can understand why you want to add me, like there must be some skill sets that you think you need or want to connect to, but when I look at your profile, you have to give me a reason why I'd want to connect to you. Like I'd have to think, oh, okay, that's interesting. You do something I'm interested in. You work in a field I'm interested in. And a lot of these just don't. They're just boring. They're like boring CVs. Secondly, I love the way that LinkedIn sends me an email once a week telling me to congratulate people on their work anniversaries for companies they've long since left because they haven't updated their profile in years. They're like, oh, they've been working there 14 years. I'm like, they haven't been working there for 3. Anyway, good work, LinkedIn. Good work. So I have here a 2014... 2014? No, it's definitely a 2015 Cadbury's cream egg, which is all the controversy has been about because they replaced the Cadbury's dairy milk chocolate with regular Cadbury's milk chocolate. I'm going to taste it and I'm going to get back to you and see how disastrous this is. Well, my overwhelming feeling is it's not that bad. It's not very different, to be honest. It's ever so slightly sugarier chocolate, which is unnecessary when you consider how much sugar's in the middle. But it's all right. It's fine. And they took a calculated risk that most people wouldn't notice. And I think that's probably true. The dairy milk is nicer because it's slightly creamier and it offsets the sweetness. But, you know, if this is the worst thing that's happening in your life, you live a pretty charmed life. So today, let's talk about social media. Now, let's prefix this entire conversation by saying I am not an expert in social media. There are people who claim to be experts. There are certainly professionals in the world of social media, but I would argue that social media is just like social, i.e. how you interact with people, not through a computer. So the same common sense rules apply. What I'd like to talk about primarily is people using social media for work. What you do in your own personal life is your business, and how you choose to conduct that, again, is your business, unless it infringes on someone else. But in work, think about the things you put out, because a lot of my friends are professionals, and in general, not in social media, and they have work social media accounts. And they're all reasonably guilty of this, to be honest. And the reason I don't have a work social media account, I'll get to in a moment. So, what should you put out? This is very, very simple indeed. In the broadest strokes, you should put out things that are interesting to other people. Because if you're trying to get work, you need to give somebody some value. So, a reason to hire you, but a reason to continue to read your tweets or your Facebook posts, or subscribe to your YouTube channel or your Instagram feed or whatever. And what is interesting to them will not necessarily be the same as what's interesting to you. And by that I mean, if it is just a long list of things you've achieved, if it is just a long list of work you have done, that is not very interesting. It is maybe a CV, it is possibly half a page on your website, but it is certainly not worthy of the whole of your social media feed. What you should put out are things that have value to prospective clients. And that means obvious things in some cases, just like what you do and where you do it and how much it costs. But more than that, really, it should be things that are of interest in your field that means that they would want to subscribe to your feed. So if you are working in horticulture, for example, then helpful little tips now and again might be useful, like now is the good time to plant your roses on. Here's some good examples of this, or here is an interesting course that you might want to attend about this, or those kind of things that actually have value to them, maybe not to you. But if you want them to come to you, then they've got to have a reason to even bother to follow you in the first place. And if you cannot give them that reason, then you are wasting your time. If all you are doing is, even in a reasonably modest sense, bragging, I know modest bragging, but even if it's just like, I did this without any I am amazing, just I did this, I'm doing that, that is not a reason. That is quite tiresome, and that is why people stop following work accounts. And because I do not currently have good content to put out to attract people to my business in terms of things, tips and useful suggestions and what have you, that is why I don't currently have a work social media account. You might say that's lazy, and you might be right, and I will get there, but at the moment I'm not simply just going to post one line of a CV at a time on my Twitter feed. Okay, I realise that do what I say, not what I do is not particularly good idea. So I've taken my own advice, and I have done exactly that. I've set up a Twitter account, a work Twitter account, and it will provide content for people who are interested in audio and video. It is called Toby Audio Video. It's very straightforward. It's no personal opinion. It's not a list of things I did. It's a list of useful advice. So feel free to follow if you're at all interested. So we haven't talked much today. What's been going on? Well, I've just been playing with Plex, which is, Flux, or f.lux, which is a little program that changes the colour balance of your screen when it's dark to help you sleep, because too much blue light before you go to bed is not good for you. It stops you sleeping. I have been signing documents at RHP. I'm still waiting on a niece or nephew who technically are not due for 5 more days, but I reckon today, tomorrow it could happen. Hasn't happened yet, at 6 o'clock on Thursday. And I'm making a bolognese, which is there in the slow cooker. And there was something else. I'll get back to you. It's difficult to put into words exactly how excited I am about that bolognese. It is awesome, and it still has an hour to go. Anyway, bolognese aside, we've booked another holiday. Usually, as you know, or if you know me, or if you've watched these vlogs for any length of time, you will have seen that every summer we go to Switzerland as a family holiday. That's broadly true. It hasn't always been the case. It has been for the last 10 years. We had a few. It was usually, before then, it was probably 2 years out of 3 we went to that same place in Switzerland. But in the last 10 years, it's been very regular. Anyway, because I will have 2 niece/nephews come next week, most likely, it's probably not that easy to go back to there. Because, it's a long drive is the reality of it, because you need a car. So you can take a plane and hire a car, but that's rather expensive, and it's a long drive from Geneva anyway, so you might as well drive the whole way. Anyway, so we're not going to do that as a family holiday for the first time in a very long time. So we're going to the Lake District, which is very exciting. We booked it yesterday, and we've got a week in July, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I didn't think anything could replace the Swiss mountains, but a bit of English countryside is really quite exciting right now. So there we go. There's a holiday update for you. Good afternoon. It's just gone. It's just around 3 o'clock, but it's very nice out today. So my attempt today is to go and find some crocuses that are actually in bloom, which sounds ridiculous because it's January and there's still a week to go, but I reckon I might do it. Well, what do you know? There are little patches just opening up. Focus is all over the place here. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? January the, 24th? It's pretty early. So I'm in Westerly Ware, which is a little parking queue just next to Kew Bridge. And you'll notice there's also daffodils out, as well as crocuses, which is very remarkable indeed. It's very sheltered here. It gets quite wet. As you can see, the ground's very muddy, but it's ever so sheltered, and so you get the first spring flowers, but not usually this early, it has to be said. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, then please subscribe, and these videos go up once a week on a Monday or Tuesday, depending on my workload. And I hope you will join me next week regardless, because I will be continuing my Thames Path walk with Steve from Windsor. So see you then.